Hey everybody, yeah, I know this is annoying. I'm trying to get the software to work, and what was that? What was that? Just hit the button. Okay, look at what you did. Does that look right to you? I've been hitting buttons all morning. Nope, that's not it. Oh my goodness. All right, that's not it either. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Thank you for this request. This is going to be a response video that I can make without too much worry. It was made by Samantha Maria, who currently has around 1,700,000 subscribers at the moment, and her video seemed to have been received with mostly positivity. Well, unfortunately, here comes the negativity. Yes, I'm here to rain on everyone's idea parade.
Welcome back to my Girl Talk series. Today I wanted to talk about feminism and also sexism, just because I feel like I'm going to find it quite hard to talk about feminism on its own without kind of tying in sexism.
I also have a very difficult time discussing feminism without also tying in sexism. The feminist ideology is based in sexism. It might actually be impossible to talk about feminism without bringing up sexism, either real or imagined. The real sexism being how feminists ignore the problems that men face and say that sexism towards men just doesn't exist, how some of them consistently discuss mansplaining and how annoying men are for it, how toxic masculinity totally isn't saying that men are toxic, just everything about how they were raised is toxic, the he for she campaign, the masculinity is so fragile shame fest on Twitter, and basically pushing a men are the problem, women are fragile victims, and feminism is the solution to both of those issues narrative. That's what feminism is encompassed by. However, in their apparent quest to supposedly smash the gender roles, they reinforce them through their own actions. Those actions being playing a damsel in distress who needs help to ward off all of those nasty, hate-filled misogynists, and the seemingly purposeful ignorance towards the inability to accept that women can actually use their agency to victimize men that can't fight back. And the imagined sexism being the wage gap, rape culture, and all that jazz, but details.
Because I want to talk about it in quite a personal way as well. It's a topic that I've been wanting to cover for ages now, about 2 years or so. I felt really strongly about it.
I think that's where your problem is already. You felt very strongly about it, but did you think hard about it? That's the problem with most ideologies, actually. Feeling strongly about something doesn't make that thing any more correct. People feel strongly about all sorts of things, but the key to being a rational thinker is to put your feelings aside, take a step back, and think. Generally, the first thing you want to think is, okay, do my feelings correspond with reality right now? Am I overreacting? Does this thing really exist? Did that thing really happen? Emotion has no bearing on what is true or untrue, only reality does. So if someone is making claims of sexism, patriarchy, rape culture, sexist wage gap, and all that stuff on a widespread scale, those are empirical claims. What do we do with empirical claims? We scientifically test them, or at least attempt to observe them in some sort of objective sense. That's why I think feminism has been worn down to ethereal ideas of patriarchy, rape culture, societal attitudes, social systems, power structures, and that type of thing. They're claims that can never actually be disproven unless you prove that 0 bad things happen to women, which will never be the case. But if a feminist can cite a bad thing that happened to them or someone else, and they think that is proof of rape culture, patriarchy, or whatever, then you're not speaking with someone who's using their mind to think. They're using their heart. The heart is a fickle beast, but the brain is a stone-cold, logical asshole. I know it's belligerent, but listen to it a little more. It's right.
I guess this is all around the time that feminism has become a lot more prominent, and it's a lot more in the forefront of people's minds at the moment, which is such a good thing.
I beg to differ. Any ideology that preys on empathy in order to breed sociopathy towards another group of people is dangerous to society, the human mind, and basic senses of humanity. This probably sounds very strange to you. This is, to my knowledge, the only video that you've done about feminism, and you appear to have a clothing line in your description. I looked at your About section and you deal with makeup, style, fashion, stuff like that. So maybe you only have a superficial knowledge on this topic, but I promise you I've been to the depths of this movement and back. I have an hour-long video on this topic, specifically countering everything that's been put forward. But I beseech you to think that perhaps you have been lied to by these people. I absolutely hate it when I see people who generally seem to have a lot of empathy for other people buy into feminism's good-looking curtain and promote it. Because they are nice people and honestly just want to help, but they are being conned. Modern-day feminism exaggerates problems, makes up problems, and purposefully ignores the problems that men face, all the while claiming to be all about equality. They set up a false reality where women are oppressed in the West. Then they wring your heart out like a sponge, saying, "Isn't this horrible? Why do men do this?" Then when men come to these empathetic people, their heart has been completely dried out to the point where these people laugh in their faces and think, yeah, sure, men already have all the rights. They shouldn't be causing so many of the problems. Stop making this all about you. Feminism ruins good people sometimes.
But anyway, I wanted to start by saying I'm not going to sit here and hurl loads of like figures and facts and things like that at you.
You know, I tried to be nice about this. But it's at this point in the video where I can't tell whether you're an empathetic person who bought into this nonsense or someone who is selling it themselves. I'm not going to sit here and talk about data or facts or whatever. I'm just going to go through my specific personal experience about why feminists are correct about our society and how men act. Facts and figures, irrelevant. Time to just discuss my negative experience with men, because that's what feminism is fucking about. It's not about equality. It's about women whining about possibly made-up negative experiences they've had with men this one time. Did a guy bump into you on the subway without saying, "Excuse me"? Feminism is for you!
I feel like if I just sit here and hurl loads of facts at you that like make me angry and make you angry, even though they are really good to know.
These facts and figures are good to know, but they'll hurt your feelings and make you upset, so I won't give them to you. I'm sorry. What?
It's not really communicating what I'm gonna try to get across to you guys.
What are you trying to get across? Maybe I don't understand the message, but you want to talk about feminism, and you said that it was a good thing that feminism is on the forefront of everyone's minds. You want to leave facts and data to the side, and you wanted to talk about it in a personal way. It sounds like an ideological sales pitch, if I'm being honest with you. And I can already tell I won't be interested.
What I wanted to do is talk about feminism and sexism and just kind of in a way raise awareness and just talk in quite a down-to-earth way, you know, like just how it's affected me personally. And also I want this video to be almost like, a way for a discussion to happen. So I really would love you guys to comment down below. And anyway, I'll get into that later, but it's still a major problem worldwide.
No, sexism towards women is not a major problem at the moment in either of our countries. There is, however, institutionalized sexism towards men in both of our countries. One example being that it is illegal for men to refuse parenthood if a woman who is carrying his child in that particular relationship or whatever it is decides that he will be the financial supporter of that child, even when it was merely her choice to keep the baby and wouldn't listen to him. So the man, in that case, is responsible for the woman's choices. Now, feminists, in response to this, will generally say one of two things. They will say, well, he should have kept his dick in his pants, or he's just a deadbeat who doesn't want to take responsibility for his choices. Go ahead and say the reverse of these statements to any feminist on the topic of women surrendering their parenthood. She should have kept her vagina in her pants. Oh no, that's sexism. Accidents happen, you idiot. Yeah, well, accidents happen with men too in that area. Don't you think they should have some say? Clank, crunch, my body, my choice. Absolutely. You can use your body to work to support that child without a man financially supporting you, right? Click, clank. Men need to be responsible for their choices. But you just said it was your choice. Crunch, click. He decided to have sex. So did you. Bzzz. Shutdown imminent. Deploying baseless accusations in 5, 4, 3.
I haven't been asked to do this video or anything. This is just my personal feelings. So I'll kind of get annoyed at things or things will frustrate me and I'll kind of mention it to Jason. He'll be like, oh, why don't you like do a video on it or something? And I've been like, yeah, I can, but like I don't know how should I do that? And that's been like for months and months. So I finally just sat down and I thought, I'm just gonna do a video on it. Maybe just shed some light on it. People that don't know what it is exactly, who don't know if they are a feminist or not.
Don't know if they're a feminist or not. This is a sales pitch. I've heard this ideological sales pitch over and over and over again. It's the same every time. Do you believe in this good thing that nearly everyone agrees with? Congratulations! You're now this word I made up. Since you're this word I made up, you now have to accept this mountain of bullshit as well. You want to be a good word I made up, don't you? People who don't accept this mountain of bullshit aren't this word I made up, and therefore don't agree with that good thing nearly everyone agrees with. What are you, an asshole? It's like you don't even care about that good thing. What's wrong with you? Did I get it right? Is that relatively accurate?
So feminism is basically equal rights for men and women, socially, economically, politically, personally.
Personally? Personally. You're not equal to me personally, because I'm my own person. You already said socially. I don't know why personally needed to be tossed in there as well. Also, I will draw you to the fact that you said equal rights. The right to not be catcalled is not a right, since it overlaps with the right to freedom of speech. So I definitely shouldn't hear you discussing that. You should be discussing rights, which follows the law and what the law provides or doesn't provide for men and women, and rectifies disparities between those. But that would require those fact thingies, and those just make everyone upset.
And I feel like a lot of people think that feminism is about like these angry women who just hate men. And are against men, and it's not. It's basically just for equal rights.
What rights do men have that women don't have in your country? I mean, legally, that is. I don't know why I have to specify that. I don't know what a social right is. I mean, these inequalities are actually there, on the books, for men. Just look at the statute on female genital mutilation, 18 U.S.C. 116 to be exact. I'll read it for you. Quote, A, except as provided in subsection B, whoever knowingly circumcises, excises, or infibulates the whole or any part of the labia majora, or labia minora, or clitoris of another person, who has not attained the age of 18 years, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years, or both. B, a surgical operation is not a violation of this section if the operation is 1. Necessary to the health of the person on whom it is performed and is performed by a person licensed in the place of its performance as a medical practitioner, or 2, performed on a person in labor, or who has just given birth and is performed for medical purposes connected with that labor or birth by a person licensed in the place it is performed as a medical practitioner, midwife, or person in training to become such a practitioner or midwife. C, in applying subsection B1, no account shall be taken of the effect on the person on whom the operation is to be performed of any belief on the part of that person or any other person that the operation is required as a matter of custom or ritual. D, whoever knowingly transports from the United States and its territories a person in foreign commerce for the purpose of conduct with regard to that person that would be a violation of subsection A, if the conduct occurred within the United States or attempts to do so, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. Unquote. Now, compare it to the statute on male genital... Oh, there isn't one. Circumcising boys is legal. Yes, cutting off part of a natural, normal, and healthy infant boy's body without anesthesia or medical necessity is legal in this country. Everything described up there is legal when it comes to the male sex. Has feminism even attempted to address this yet? Or are we too hung up on how women are uncomfortable sometimes right now? Go ahead and Google male genital mutilation statute USA and look at what the first result is. I'll wait.
And I wanted to also kind of go back to my childhood a little bit and where I first started like noticing feminism and sexism and things like that, because it's kind of been ingrained in me since I was quite young.
Yeah, that's what brainwashing sounds like. If something is ingrained in you when you were quite young, then you probably didn't have the mental capacity to think about it on any deep level. You were just told a thing and you believed that thing. That is the depth to which your brain worked as an extremely young child, but we are adults now, and it's time to examine whether or not the person indoctrinating you was actually correct in what they were saying.
So I grew up with a very feminist mum, but obviously I never knew what feminism was either when I was young. But she'd make me very aware of her views. She never pushed them on me, but I was aware of them. So I guess I've always been a little bit like, when I see a difference between men and women, I'm like, that's not right.
I skipped over when she was talking about her personal story with her mother. This video is 14 minutes long, and this video would be way too long if I left everything in there. but I've kept the relevant details. If you wish to see the full context, please watch the video yourself. Link in the description. I've seen countless feminists think an inequality between men and women is fine because men are on the losing side. I've seen countless feminists consider catcalling a more important issue than male victims of domestic violence and lack of funding for accommodation. And I've seen countless feminists see a difference between men and women that occurred through the free, benign choices of men and women and scream sexism. Differences are not always brought about by maliciousness, and differences are sometimes neutral, and sometimes they're good. But lots of people, feminists in particular, seem to have an issue distinguishing the one from the other. Can men be smeared as the evil cause of this? Voila! A feminist issue. Can we paint women as a class of victim through this method? Nice. Got another issue. Wait, an issue involving cases where men are victims of women? Get that out of here. Boo! We don't want that here. That isn't in the name of equality, after all. Notice I said involving cases. That was not smearing women as victimizers. Saying there are bad women out there who victimize men is a statement of fact, not a smear tactic. Just like there are bad men out there who victimize women is not a smear tactic. But when you present these things in the context of feminism, you are taking on board all of their social quote-unquote insight. That insight being that men are brought up in a society that molds them into bad people. That is, in fact, smearing all men. Hardly anyone actually directly calls men themselves toxic. They just say that they're molded into toxic people by society and their upbringing. Toxic masculinity and all. That doesn't sound like someone preaching equality to me, social or otherwise. It sounds like demonization. What does it sound like to you?
So then with me personally, I think growing up, I think I just had a normal kind of teenagehood. I wasn't overly pro-women. I was just, trotting along with it all. But I always get pissed off at things like being objectified, being catcalled, stuff like that. And like all throughout my being a teenager up till now, I've always found a disrespect for me, for myself, for women, from guys, just in general.
There we go. There it is. Men in general don't have respect for you or for women. I was wondering when the shiny outer layer would shed. Happens every time. And
I think that has always been something that's really pissed me off. Then, I think about maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit less, I stumbled across Caitlin Moran. She's probably been the most influential person for me when it comes to feminism and sexism. She's someone who really opened my eyes. So I downloaded her book on my Kindle, How to Be a Woman.
How to Be a Woman? Did you not know how to woman before? Did this book explain how womaning was supposed to work? Let me guess, one of the instructions was learn about feminism and be a feminist. Am I right?
I absolutely loved the book. I tweeted about how much I loved it and everything. It's just so amazing to read a book by a woman that just seems like it really speaks to you, and so many points in it you just agree and you're like, yeah, what the F?
Okay, this video has gone on for way too long and it's so rambly and not concrete that I'll break it down to what makes her go, what the F, and then smile as big as she possibly can.
Say I'm just leaving the house to go to a meeting or something, so it doesn't matter what I was wearing, even if I was wearing like a boob tube and a short skirt, I'm sure men could control themselves in some way, but I'll be fully dressed in a long black coat. I'll get wolf whistled at just down the street. I'll get wolf whistled at if I'm passing any type of building site, any builder, any man in a van, pretty much, and it's always when they're with another man.
I don't believe you. I think you're lying. I think maybe you've gotten whistled at a few times in your life, but it's certainly not every time you pass a building site, anytime you pass any builder, or any man in a van with another man. That's just a Me Too story that's passed around in feminist circles. I don't think it happens on the scale that they claim it does. That whole stereotype of men sitting around eating lunch out of lunch boxes and shouting obscene things at women is just that, a stereotype. A stereotype that I've only seen on television and in movies. You know what? Film yourself. Film yourself walking by a construction site in your regular clothes and then post it. I want to watch all of these men ignore you while they're busy operating heavy machinery, power tools, and sweating their asses off. Have you ever seen a construction site? I think this is all one gigantic humble brag. This sort of thing does happen, but not on the scale that you claim that it does. But that's feminism in a nutshell. Take an individual, negative experience you had one time and project it onto the whole of society. Oh, not society, the whole of men. But yeah, I think you're misleading people and lying about how men can't seem to control themselves when in your hypnotic, sexy presence. You're obviously over-exaggerating, either to push a narrative or to humble brag about your supposed attractiveness. My goodness, when I'm walking around, men just can't seem to stop commenting about how attractive I am in rude ways. It's like, it happens every day. Like, I could be wearing not even sexy things, and they'll do it too. It's crazy. Does that annoy you too when guys do that? No, it barely happens to me, and it's not even a big deal. Oh, well, maybe it only happens to some girls. You'd get what I'm saying if it happened to, like, every day. That's the most annoying person in high school, folks. The most annoying one.
It's just like they feel like they've got this kind of extra strength because if I say anything, there's, they can just, I don't know, like gang together and just be like, oh, what's your problem?
Your life sounds really difficult. Okay, I think I'm rage quitting. I'm rage quitting this one, guys. I can't handle 14 minutes of this. I do appreciate the request, and I tackled as much as I ended up tackling here. If anybody wants to pick up where I left off, you're obviously free to do so, but my head and the microwave have a hot date tonight. Bye! Oh, and have a wonderful day.
I was going to start this video like, I'm no Emma Watson, like I can't articulate as well as she does, but